Today we're going to talk about helping your child learn to tolerate wearing a mask. The CDC is telling us that everyone over the age of 2 should wear a mask whenever they're going out in public, which they're defining as any time you'll be within 6 feet of someone you don't immediately reside with. Now, as adults, we're getting used to this, but let's be honest, even as adults, it is not the most natural feeling thing to have a piece of cloth over your mouth. For most of us, we understand the importance and so we're willing to do it. But for kids who don't understand everything that's going on, they may have a harder time tolerating it, especially if you have a child with autism or sensory processing disorder or just tactile sensitivity who really doesn't like the feeling of something on their skin. I'm going to talk about a few strategies today that will help make it a little bit easier. So the first is the why. Helping kids understand why they need to wear a mask and what they can expect from wearing a mask is the first step in helping them be able to tolerate it longer term. One of the best ways to help kids get used to the idea of a mask and understand the why behind the mask is to have a social story. Now, you can make a social story using photos yourself. You can either use pictures from an internet search or pictures of you or your child to make a social story, but there are also a lot of great ones that are already pre-made and free online right now. This one comes from Autism Little Learners, and I recommend it. You can find it on their website, both in printable form as well as a video that you and your child can watch. This is a great book that talks about why I might need to wear a mask, how wearing a mask can help keep people healthy because it helps keep germs away from them, as well as places I might need to wear a mask, like if I'm going to the doctor's office or the grocery store. So once you've started to cover the why of wearing a mask, you're still going to need to help your child feel used to the idea of seeing people in masks and feeling the mask on their own face. One thing I recommend is to let your child play with the mask. Let them put it on you, let them put it on a favorite doll or stuffed animal, and let them play with them in a way that is fun and non-threatening. Do that before you ask them to put it on their own face. Once they've gotten somewhat used to that, it would be a good time to trial having them wear it. And it's preferable to do this at home before you need to go out in public. That way, if they try to take the mask off, you're in a place that they are able to do that without exposing themselves or others to germs. Now, when you first introduce this, it can be helpful to give a reinforcer. So something like, first we wear the mask for 5 minutes, and then you get to do this activity you really want. It can also be helpful to give a first then visual. So for example, this one says first wear mask, then ride bike. And you can fill in whatever the preferred activity is for your child. These graphics come from EduPix, and they are also free for download. You can find them on the Teachers Pay Teachers website. Also, you do not have to have fancy images for these. You can hand draw something quickly, or for some kids, just use verbal cues. I also recommend that when you first start practicing wearing the mask, you have your child participate in an activity they enjoy. So you might say, we're going to do 5 minutes of mask while we do your favorite puzzle, and then you get 5 minutes on the iPad. A visual of the time can also be helpful. You can use a watch or a clock, or there's also a number of free apps you can use that help kids who don't know how to tell time yet. This is one called Countdown, and you can see that instead of having to read numbers, there's a visual representation of time going by. And when it's done, there is a fun picture that you can choose or randomly can be selected. While you have them wear their mask, doing the preferred activity, it's a good time to talk to them about practicing breathing. Let them know they can take long, deep breaths and that they will get enough oxygen even if it feels a little bit different. Once your child is feeling more used to wearing the mask at home, it'll be a good time to have them wear it out in public. The first time you do that, I recommend writing out some sort of a schedule. Here's an example. This one is made using EduClip's mask graphics as well as images just from a Google search. So you could tell your child, first we're going to put on a mask, then go in the doctor's office, then get back in the car. Once we're back in the car, we're going to clean our hands, and then the mask will be all done. This lets your child know exactly when and where they're expected to wear the mask and when they can take it off again. And you would be surprised by how much stress this can relieve. We sometimes forget how much control we have of our own lives and how little control children have over theirs. So giving them some knowledge of what is coming can actually help them feel like they have some control again, and that relieves a lot of anxiety. There are other things to consider as well when we talk about masks. One is the type and fit for masks. There are different sizes, so you want to make sure that you get a size that fits your child's face fairly well. There's also different types. So a mask like this that goes over the ears is great for a lot of kids because it's very simple to put on and take off again. However, some kids who have sensory defensiveness do not like the feeling behind their ears. There are a couple of things that you can do about this. One is you can take a clip or a ribbon and tie it between these two so that the mask is held across the back of the head and the pressure is not on the back of the ear. If you have the type of mask that has a rubber band through a looped seam, you can actually remove that band and add in a shoelace or a string. This is a single shoelace that's strung from the top to the bottom. And now when you put it on, this string goes across the top. Oops. And this one gets tied around the neck loosely. And now you don't have pressure on the back of the ear. Now, some kids may still be bothered by the feeling of the string on their head because all that pressure is on one line. If that's the case for your child, you may want to try having them put on either a favorite ball cap or a knit cap, because that's going to disperse the pressure they feel all over their head and reduce the irritation to the one spot. You can try either tying it over the hat or under the hat. Some people even sew buttons onto the side of a ball cap so that they can hook the ear hooks onto the button instead of onto your ears. There are really a lot of creative things you can do to minimize the tactile aversion. The big picture is that you want to help kids understand why they need a mask, what a mask feels like, how long they'll need to wear the mask and where they need to wear it, and how they know when they get to take it off again. Doing those things will help kids tolerate wearing masks when they do need to wear them.